Welcome to another episode of the Superhumanize Podcast, where we explore the intersection of science, self-healing, and sovereignty. I'm your host, Ariane Sommer, and today we're entering one of the most promising frontiers in regenerative health, stem cell support, not through invasive procedures, but through the intelligence of the body itself. My guest is Ryan Riley, CEO of Stemregen, a company at the forefront of developing plant-based stem cell enhancers that work with your biology, mobilizing your body's own master repair cells using natural compounds backed by over 2 decades of research. This is not science fiction. This is clinical science, blending natural ingredients like sea buckthorn, Aloe macroclada, and blue-green algae into a protocol designed to support stem cell release, circulation, and communication. In our conversation, Ryan and I explore why stem cells are the body's innate repair system, how inflammation and microcirculation can block or accelerate healing, and how simple, evidence-backed daily practices can reawaken the body's regenerative potential. We will also discuss compelling clinical and anecdotal results from early studies, including breakthroughs in heart function, neurological health, and trauma recovery. Whether you're navigating chronic illness, exploring new pathways to vitality, or simply seeking to become a more sovereign steward of your health, this episode offers insight, direction, and empowerment.
Superhumanize. Accelerated evolution.
Ryan, welcome to the Superhumanize Podcast. What a pleasure to connect.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share a little bit.
Absolutely. And you and your team are doing some really, I like to call them evolutionary things. And to start this conversation, I'd like to open it up with the following, Ryan. Many of us have heard the term stem cells, but often in the context of quite expensive procedures or controversial, as of yet, therapies. Your work highlights a different path, supporting the body's own stem cell production using natural means. Can you explain to us in simple terms what stem cells are and why they matter so much for our everyday health and longevity?
It's a beautiful question. In fact, it's the question that I had the opportunity to sit in a conference several years ago and listen to Christian Drapeau, who is our founder and chief science officer. And he had 10 minutes to share his life's work to this audience of 100 professionals. They were founders, CEOs, executives. And I remember sitting in that audience just drawn to his message, drawn to him as an individual. And fortunately, I've had the opportunity to not only become an investor in Stemregen and to help champion the message that Christian, his life's work, but I've also been honored to have him name me CEO to not only just champion it, but to direct it as well. And so I've come a long way in my understanding of the question that you've asked, as I've been really close working with Christian. And so I'm going to try to honor him as much as possible in this answer. Our body has a natural ability to repair. I remember as a child, I'm a skateboarder. I grew up in Central California. I grew up skateboarding, playing music, just that regular, enjoyable 1980s lifestyle. And I broke my arm probably 7 times growing up. Because we were jumping off houses into pools. Yeah. We were enjoying life. And literally, I remember having a cast on my arm probably every other year as I was growing up.
Yeah. Arm?
The same arm, the same arm, my left arm. Fortunately, my left, because I'm right-handed.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you'd go to the doctor, they'd set your arm, they'd put you in a cast in 6 weeks, You'd come back, they take an x-ray, everything looks good, they cut the cast off and you're done. Your body repairs. And that's the case of everybody. And the interesting thing about that is nobody talks about how that happens. They just say your body repairs. As you go deeper into that conversation, we have a new heart every 30 years because our heart is constantly in the state of repair and renewal. Our skin changes constantly, our liver, and the central player in our body's natural repair system are your stem cells. Your stem cells are triggered by your body when it needs repair. The interesting thing about that is we have a finite number of stem cells in our system, but they taper off drastically at about age 30. So, and I remember, I'm 52 years old. And I remember when I was hitting that mid 30s, early 30s, mid 30s, I was like, man, my body just doesn't do what it used to. I couldn't take a fall and get back up and manage it. I couldn't do the things that I used to do. And I was, you feel your age, and you've heard those sayings, you feel your age. Well, it's an interesting correlation that your body uses 95% of its stem cells by the time you're age 30. And so you have a small amount of stem cells left. You'll never run out. There's never been any proof that anybody has ever run out. But what happens is that as your body ages and you have less stem cells in circulation, that's when age-related disease occurs. So consider if your body's stem cells are trying to do everything it can to continue to repair your body through just normal wear and tear, and there's less in circulation, and then all of a sudden it can't handle maybe some of the changes it needs to make in your heart. Well, now you have heart disease. Maybe it can't handle some of the changes that need to be done because other areas are more important, and now you have liver failure. And your body, there's a direct correlation between the number of stem cells in circulation and age-related disease. You can look at the literature, and everywhere you go in the literature, as you see this, you can see a 50% difference. The people that have an age-related disease have 50% less stem cells in circulation than somebody that's of the same age and is healthy. So this is everything that is wrapped around your body's natural ability to repair itself. They are founded in your stem cells. And the beauty about what Christian Drapeau has done is he spent the last 25 years as a stem cell scientist, and he has identified botanicals that have a natural impact on the number of stem cells in circulation in your body. So rather than going to, like you said, injections, an expensive, costly injection where they're doing a localized number of stem cells into a shoulder, your knee, an area that's in need of repair, this is reducing what we call endogenous stem cell mobilization. And endogenous stem cell mobilization is the act of triggering the release from your own bone marrow, the stem cells that your body needs to be able to continue to repair. And if you have more stem cells in circulation, what can happen? Your body has the tools it's need in order to recover and repair. And we're seeing amazing things happen as we're researching, as we're doing our studies, as we're going into clinical trials. We're seeing some amazing things that the body can repair that traditionally isn't known to repair. And that's the beauty about what we're doing, and the work that Christian Drapeau has is we truly believe that we are in a situation that is bigger than us, that we have an opportunity to show the world that amazing things can happen if you support your body's natural repair system.
Excellent. And I have a question I want to fully understand. So the numbers that you just shared are staggering. Around the age of 30, we lose up to 95% of the stem cells in our bone marrow, right? So we still have some. There's been no evidence that someone ever runs out, but it's much less. So I would like to understand, you have a particular product, it's called Release. How does the Release product work to activate the endogenous stem cell release? What are the key mechanisms at play? And specifically, so if we have less, does it actually help us to produce more or just quote unquote release more? So give me the
Great questions.
picture.
No, great questions. So there's a chemical trigger when your body, when there's an area of repair that's necessary, your body calls for that through a chemical that then activates the release or the signals the release of stem cells from the bone marrow. And that mechanism of signaling for repair is something that Christian has been able to do and identify botanicals that mimic that signal. Okay. So, and this started back in the mid 1990s when he was called to research an ingredient that was found in Klamath Lake. It was called AFA. It was a blue-green algae. And he was on the research team. He led the research team to be able to identify the mechanisms, actions, what's happening in the body, the clinical studies, so that they can be able to show that it had an effect on inflammation. It had an effect on other areas. But as they were studying this, they started seeing some outliers that were interesting. And when you see one or two of them, you kind of take those as, okay, this is an outlying case. We'll acknowledge it, but we're going to move on. But when you start seeing 100 to 200 to 300 of these, then the scientific mind is sitting there saying, okay, something's happening. What's going on? And Christian started doing research on what could be occurring in the body from this blue-green algae.
Can you tell us more about these cases? Like what was seen?
So, for example, there were people that were diabetic that were overcoming diabetes. There were people that had liver failure that were now in remission. There were people that had, that was the interesting thing about it. It was such a broad case of everything happening. It wasn't targeted to one specific thing, and which that was what caused a lot of the curiosity of what's really going on in the body, what's happening. So Christian went to the literature, and in 2001, he came across an article that talked about and showed how a stem cell could become a heart cell. And this was the first time he's ever seen an article like this, because stem cells at that point were kind of just known as precursor to white blood cells. They didn't have any functionality in the body. It was such new concept of what a stem cell was that people were still trying to figure it out. But there was a paper that was written that showed a stem cell becoming a heart cell. And then there was another one as he dug deeper into this, and he's, you think about this, he's in the literature, so he's researching at medical libraries. And he found another article that showed a stem cell can become a brain cell. And then another one that showed a stem cell become a liver cell. And he's like, wait a second, if it can become heart, brain, and liver, then stem cells can really become anything in the body. And so he's sitting here saying, maybe this is what's going on with this AFA ingredient that we have, this product that's come out of Klamath Lake. So what he did, he wanted to prove his theory. So they were able to acquire a flow spectrometer, which actually is used to count the number of stem cells in the blood system. And they tried it on themselves. I mean, this is when you're in the preliminary stages of research, your first look is, how does this affect us? And so they took a blood draw, they ran it through the flow spectrometer. They took some of the AFA, and then a half hour later, they did it again, and they took a blood draw and they ran their numbers, and they saw a significant increase in the number of blood stem cells that were in the blood. An hour and a half, 2 hours later, it was still the case. So they were able to identify that this ingredient had an effect of increasing the number of stem cells in circulation. It was mimicking that signal of we need repair. It was attracting the stem cells out of the bone marrow into the blood system and circulating them. And then Christian turned around and he's like, well, wait a second. If this is happening with one product, what else is out there? And so he started asking the question. And he talked to people in China. He talked to Ayurveda medicine in India, Madagascar, Tibet. So he started asking the question of his colleagues and the people that he knew, if you were stranded on a deserted island, what's the one plant that you would take with you? What's a plant that has broad aspects of curing challenges that you're faced with? And he'd get answers, and some people will say, well, there's not a one plant that fixes everything. He's like, yeah, but if there was, which one would you take? And somebody appointed him to a variety of aloe in Madagascar. That's Aloe macroclada. Somebody told him about the goji berry in Tibet. And so he started looking at these and he started testing them, and he was able to identify that these three products out of every ingredient he tested, these three, the AFA, the Aloe macroclada, and the goji berry, had the highest impact of releasing stem cells into the blood system. And he knew that he had something amazing. And the first version of his product that he tried, they had wide success. And then, but he knew that there was more. He knew that he could take this a little bit further. And so that's when he started Stemregen in 2017, 2018. I met Christian in 2023 when he was really just trying to get this going. And from then I've been working with him since. And it's absolutely incredible, some of the things that we're seeing happening. And again, the question that we have is, if you can increase the number of stem cells in circulation in your blood, what will happen? And that's the beauty of it.
And you have, I mean, stem cell research is still developing, but you've shared some powerful early results, as far as I understand, from improvements in cognitive heart failure to Parkinson's symptoms even.
Yeah.
Can you share maybe
Absolutely.
one or two?
So we have two ongoing studies right now, and these are preliminary studies because when you're introducing a new ingredient, you first go into preliminary studies so that you can prove concepts. And then from there, you take a preliminary study. If the results are confident enough, you can go into a full clinical trial. So the first ongoing study that we have is one where we looked for individuals that were suffering with chronic congestive heart failure. And our goal was to find individuals that were 2 years stable chronic congestive heart failure, meaning for 2 years, the doctors are saying there's nothing we can do for you. This is your life. We'll focus on quality of life. This is where you are. And traditionally, the heart is an area that doesn't repair. It doesn't have the ability to repair. If you go through any medical text that's taught in medical school, the heart, the brain, they don't repair. So this is a challenge. So we started looking at what would have a significant impact in the industry to show that stem cells are at the heart of your repair system. So we took two of the hardest ones out there, heart disease and Parkinson's. And our initial results with 10 people that have gone through a very simple protocol, 2 capsules 3 times a day for 6 months. After that initial 6 months, all 10 individuals had stable heart functionality. So all 10 individuals had normal heart function. And then we took the same protocol, 2 capsules 3 times a day, to Parkinson's patients. And this one hits a little closer to home because my father passed away recently from the effects of Parkinson's.
I am so sorry, and we share this part of our history. My father passed also from complications due to Parkinson's in March of this year.
Yeah, it's devastating. I mean, my dad was a high school football coach. He coached track. He was always active, and to see him deteriorate in that was hard. So this one's a little closer to home because I know the effects of Parkinson's. They did everything to try to give him quality of life. He even had one of the brain implants that was able to steady the right side, but it was still progressing for him. So here again is an ongoing study of Parkinson's patients, 2 capsules 3 times a day. And we stayed with the same protocol that we did with the heart study because we wanted the variables to be across the board, no questions. We're not doing something different here to here. It's the same protocol. And after 6 months, the first 10 patients have a 63% decrease in their Parkinson's index and a 68% increase in their quality of life. And again, these are 2 separate cases where the heart doesn't repair and the brain doesn't repair. And I'm not trying to say that Stemregen can cure heart disease or Parkinson's. What we're saying and what we're trying to show is that if you can increase the number of stem cells in circulation in your body, what will happen? And here's a beautiful example of, and it's kind of funny because recently there was a movie that came out, Jurassic World, where the whole premise of this movie is they have to lead a team of scientists and individuals to take DNA from the 3 largest dinosaurs, right? And that DNA from the 3 largest dinosaurs is going to create a drug that will cure heart disease. And I'm sitting in this movie with a friend of mine, and I lean over to him and I say, "I've already done that." That's how like you talk about, this is science, like the procedures are kind of cutting edge and it's fringe science, and there's all this good and bad being said about stem cells. But in reality, if you break it down to the simple concept that stem cells are at the heart of your repair system, and if you have more stem cells in circulation, your body will take care of itself. And I've seen it personally. I've seen it in my own, my boys. I have 4 boys that are ages 19 to 26, and they've challenged me to run a Spartan. And not only that, but this year they said, "Hey, we're going to run a trifecta." Now, I don't know how many of you know what a trifecta Spartan is, but it's on Saturday, you run a half marathon and with 30 obstacles. And you wake up on Sunday morning and you do a 10K with 25 obstacles. And it's Sunday afternoon, you do a 5K with 20 obstacles. And you're dead.
Yeah,
Like,
that's serious.
You're done. Your body is done. Well, I loaded up on Stemregen.
How much did you take?
Good question. I was doing 4 capsules in the morning, 4 capsules after my race, and 4 capsules before I went to bed.
And that was the release?
Yes, of release. And I knew my body needed the repair. I knew it had to happen. I woke up Sunday morning, I was stiff, but I wasn't sore. And I went through Sunday. I did those 2 races. On Monday morning, again, I woke up, I was stiff, I wasn't sore. And by Tuesday, I was completely fine.
Amazing.
I gave my body the tools it needed to not only perform at a level that I've never performed at before, but to be able to recover as well as ever recovered. And you think about it, performance, and as you talk about the superhumanization of the individual, performance is what everybody thinks about. They like, how do we perform at our optimal? How do we perform at the most possible, just the peak of our performance mentally, like physically, emotionally? How do we perform at levels that are above our normal capability? But if you don't recover, if you don't repair, if you don't give your body the tools it needs to repair, you'll never hit your performance peaks.
No, and you'll burn out quickly. And something I want to interject, what is so important from my perspective, this unfolding or unleashing of our highest potential. It's for me personally, it's not to prove something. It's not to fight mortality. At some point, I'm going to die, hopefully a long time from now, and easily, and with the full faculty of my cognitive abilities as well as physical. But it is to be able to fully stand in my sovereignty and to be able to fulfill my purpose, right? When we are unencumbered by worries about aches or pains, or when our focus gets diluted, um, oftentimes I feel it's not only ourselves losing out on doing something extraordinary, and it may be baking the best sourdough bread on the planet. It may be inventing something that lessens physical suffering. It may be, I don't know, maybe painting beautiful things. It doesn't matter. But so that's what I really love about what you are doing at Stemregen, and I love that you shared this personal anecdote. I personally am a big fan of guinea pigging myself. I'd like to circle back to the experiences you had with the people dealing with congestive heart failure and Parkinson's. So let's say you, for 6 months, or was it 8 months, you
So
take.
the protocol was 2 capsules of release
Yes.
3 times a day for
Yeah.
6 months.
And so after that, do you know from the experiences of people who have either continued or discontinued the protocol, how it affected them?
For the ongoing study that we have, we've been watching them and we've seen stable heart functionality. There's been a little bit of drop off, but most of the people that have been on the program are and here's the interesting thing about a natural supplement.
Mhm.
We are trained by pharmaceutical companies to accept side effects.
Yeah.
Every drug that's out there, there's a list of side effects that come with it, right?
They're horrific in many cases.
And they are horrific. The interesting thing about working with a natural supplement and the nutraceutical space is we've found, and I've been in this space for a number of years, that there are only side benefits.
Mhm.
So yes, the people that worked on the protocol had a normal heart functionality,
Mhm.
but they were also we've seen people, oh, my shoulder that I had pain is no longer there.
Right.
Right. And this is we've seen in practice. We have a number of doctors that are using our product, and they're anywhere from orthopedic surgeons that are helping people recover faster from surgery to podiatrists that are dealing with knee injuries from the knee down. We're looking at neuropathy. We're looking at a drop foot. We're looking at their surgeries that they do. And people come in, and one doctor shared a story with me, and he said, I was treating her for an open wound that wasn't closing. And all of a sudden, I got a call from one of her other doctors and said, what are you doing to my patient? He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, this individual's diabetic, and their numbers have been pretty standard for the last 2 years. And all of a sudden now I'm overdosing them because their numbers have changed. What are you doing? And so it's one of those things is most of the people that get on the product identify that, yeah, it helped what I was thinking it would help, but also other areas. I feel better. I have more energy in the day. My shoulder pain has gone away. My knees aren't hurting. I had a gentleman that I talked with just the other day. He had kind of a chronic flaring of his Achilles tendons in both, and that's painful. The Achilles injuries are very, very painful. And every time this would flare up from playing basketballs, he's young, he still plays basketball, pickup games in New York, things like that. He said it would be 2 to 3 weeks of pain. Um, he was on the product. He called me. He's like, 2 days. I was sore for 2 days and I was done. He's like, this is incredible. And it's really, truly the opportunity to support your body's natural repair system so that you can be able to perform at your best. And a funny story is my mom lives with me since my dad passed away. We have space, and she's living with me. And Christian and was over, and we were having kind of a company meeting in our family room. It was just a little retreat. And afterwards, everybody left. My mom came up to me. She's 85 years old. And she said, why aren't I on Stemregen?
Right.
And I was like, because Mom, I don't want you to live to be 120. And we put her on it, and I was like, you know what? I didn't even think about it. She's like, well, I would like to try it. And so we got her some release. And 2 weeks later, she came to me and she said, Ryan, I have to tell you. And I was like, what's going on? She's like, I have been having some feelings in my chest around my heart, and it's been scaring me a little bit, but I didn't want to worry anybody. She's literally like 4'8". She's this little giant of a woman. And she's like, since I got on Stemregen, that pain has gone away.
Beautiful.
And I'm like, this is the reason why we're doing this. So when I tell you, and when I tell your audience that what we're doing is bigger than us, it's bigger than the show, it's bigger than us, because it's truly an opportunity to show people that your body can repair.
Yes.
It has the ability. And I can tell you story after story after story after story of individuals, professional athletes, their agents, their managers, individual people that just are having tremendous results because they're just taking the product and they're seeing what happens. And that's the beauty of this is I don't know. Like every time somebody takes it, I always have that little bit of I hope it'll help. I hope it'll do. And then it comes back and they're like, yeah, this and this and this. And I feel better and I'm working out more. And we had a guy that created a protocol. He actually was able to, in 6 weeks, no, in just over 6 weeks, he was able to put an inch on his biceps because he knew he was repairing faster. So he put a protocol together to increase strength, and he's becoming superhuman because of this product. And it has the ability to do that for everybody that wants to try it.
I need to do a deeper dive on it. I took it and felt great after a couple of weeks, then traveled and didn't take all my supplements, but I actually have it in my stack in the kitchen. And I noticed effects after just a sense of well-being, just a sense of being able to move more fluid. I work out quite a lot. I can, sometimes it'll be 3, 4, 5 days in a row just because it makes me feel good. I am addicted to the endorphins and just my body feeling strong. And I did notice how things didn't bother me as much anymore.
Well, here's a good challenge for you.
Okay.
Do you do Pilates or something that will?
Yes.
Okay, so Pilates is wonderful because Pilates is whole body movement.
Yes.
Like you're going to be sore the next day after Pilates. So do a really strong Pilates workout and then go to the gym and lift weights. Really push yourself to the point that you're going to be sore the next couple of days, because we all know that point. Do a leg day or whatever it is that really pushes yourself, and then do 2 capsules in the morning, 2 capsules in the afternoon, and 2 capsules before you go to bed on those same days.
Yes,
and you'll wake up feeling much, much better. And it's surprising because a lot of times we'll take for granted that I'm not sore anymore. I'm not as sore as I used to be, but that's a sign that your body is repairing faster. It's repairing at its, the superhuman side, and your body has the tools it needs to do what it needs to do.
100%. And I'm excited also because I'm getting back into boxing, and I remember that, between Pilates, yoga, which I also love, weightlifting, and then adding on boxing. So thank you for the challenge. I accept, and I will report back to you.
Amazing.
And something that comes to mind, and I truly believe that the most important shift in modern health is to move from this reactive care that we've been experiencing to proactive care. And supporting stem cell health seems like absolutely critical for this shift. And with regard to Stemregen and what you offer, are there any contraindications or situations where caution would be warranted?
The only caution that we have seen is if you have a cancer of the bone marrow.
Okay.
That's the only thing that we've been able to identify that there's a contraindication. And with that, work with your practitioner, work with your physicians. Okay. In any case, always if you're dealing with something that is acute trauma work with your physician, but let them know that this is coming in. We've had people that have used this as part of the standard level of care that they're doing with everything else, and they've just seen an increase. And that's the other beauty about what Stemregen has to offer as a company, is we truly believe that we are not in competition with anybody. So whatever you're doing, whatever your current stack is, this goes right along with it. It complements what you're currently doing. In the morning, my daily routine is I wake up, I do my meditations, I do a infrared sauna with red light therapy for about 20 minutes. I'll go cold plunge, for five to 7 minutes. And then I stand on my power plate. So I'm doing vibration therapy, and then I'll do a dead hang. So after I do the compression and start the circulation in my body, I'll go hang and stretch and really bring things out. And that's my morning routine. But Stemregen's a big part of that, and it stacks with all those modalities so well because it's just circulating. Everything, if you think about red light therapy, you think about vibration therapy, anything that is designed to help repair the system is stimulating stem cells. So if you can just enhance that, it's going to stimulate them even more. So it's kind of a 1 + 1 = 11 situation. So anything you're doing in your normal recovery process, if you add Stemregen to the stack, you're going to see results.
Yeah, I love your routine, by the way. A big fan. We have an infrared sauna here as well. Need to add the cold plunge and the dead hang, but I can tell you're really dedicated, and it's consistency and dedication that makes such a huge difference. Something else that comes to mind when we talk about our body's healing capacities is inflammation, and inflammation is often misunderstood. It's both necessary and also potentially harmful. And in your work, inflammation is a key target because of its ability to block stem cells from actually doing their job. Can you speak to the science of chronic inflammation and how it specifically interferes with stem cell function?
Well, inflammation is, like you said, inflammation is needed in the body. And again, I'm not a doctor. I want to make sure that that's clear. I understand the process that we've put together and the protocols that we've put in place for Stemregen, and to be able to communicate that. But again, I want to make sure I'm not a doctor, but I have been in the consumer health space for a number of years. Inflammation is key to the repair process of your body because it's inflammation that actually does the signaling of where repair is needed. Systemic inflammation, think of it as trying to tune in a radio. If you're trying to identify a channel and you're tuning into radio and you have a lot of static or a lot of noise, it's hard to know exactly where you need to tune that into. So systemic inflammation actually challenges your stem cells because it blocks the cell-to-cell communication, the signaling that takes place in your body. So one of the things that we did is, and there's also another important aspect of this, it's the circulation. So not only is signaling, but circulation and the ability to mobilize the stem cells so they can get to where they're needed. Because if you have capillaries that aren't elastic, that are struggling, and microcapillaries, you're going to have a hard time getting the stem cells from the bloodstream into the tissue where repair actually takes place. So we have two other supporting products as part of our protocol, which is Stemregen Release, and then there's Stemregen Signal. Signal is designed to reduce the noise in the body so that cell-to-cell communication can occur and your stem cells will know where they're needed most. So it's designed to reduce that noise or reduce that systemic inflammation. Mobilize supports your capillaries and your microcapillaries so that the stem cells can actually get to where they're needed. And that's the full package. So you have releasing your own stem cells, reducing the noise in the body so that signaling can occur, the cell-to-cell communication and signaling can occur, and then supporting your capillaries and your microcapillaries so the stem cells can actually get to where they're needed. And that's the full protocol. We have 3 products that work really, really well together to be able to support your body's natural ability to repair.
Yes, and I like also you have I think it's called the More You 60-day challenge.
Yeah.
And that really caught my attention because it goes beyond the physical supplementation and it actually also includes emotional and behavioral practices. So very holistic
Yeah.
way of accessing and supporting healing. Why did you decide to integrate elements like meditation, journaling, and also storytelling into a science-based healing protocol, which I love? So I'm curious.
A beautiful question, and thank you so much for calling that out. Over the course of my career, as I've worked with individuals on their healing journeys, I have identified, and every doctor will tell you this, that our bodies are amazing, amazing machines, and they can reach a state of homeostasis even in a very challenged and sick environment. And your body's working overtime to be able to keep yourself in that state of homeostasis. And then something happens. There's a triggered event. Maybe it's a death in the family. Maybe it's a car accident. Maybe it's a challenge in your relationship, a layoff at work. Something occurs that your body now automatically has to shift its focus from keeping you going to dealing with this emotional, tragic experience. And I have seen it over and over and over in the stories that people talk about where their bodies just shut down.
Right.
And now they're not only dealing with a emotional challenge, they're also dealing with a physical challenge. And I truly believe that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And your body cannot heal or repair if you're not in a mental state to be able to allow it to heal and repair.
Yeah.
And that's what the More You challenge comes into place. It's our gift. It's our gift to be able to, and the cost of it is relatively low. I mean, we've had people tell us you could charge $4,000 for this, and we're keeping it. We're just maintaining costs. We want to make sure that it's something that allows people to have access to, but it's a 60-day intensive challenge. I've had people actually call me up and like, I wasn't ready for this. I had to step back and restart because this is deep. There's 3 people that are part of the challenge that are guiding you through it. There's Christian Drapeau, who acts as the head. He brings the knowledge, the science, the logic to the healing process. There's Stephanie, his wife. Stephanie Drapeau is an award-winning screenwriter. She's an actress. She's a beautiful individual that is going to talk to you about your story, your emotional side. Where do you come from? How do you tell your story, and how do you rewrite your story? And then there's Rod Hairstrom, who actually wrote the book on challenges, and he's done this on a corporate level for years and years and had great success. But he's going to be your gut. And he's going to challenge your gut. He's going to challenge you to be able to make change, to work the modalities that will really bring a spiritual center into your life. Because there are so many people that I have seen that are struggling with their body's ability to repair, and they're not seeing progress because their emotional, spiritual, and mental states are not aligned.
Yes. And, so often when people are struggling with chronic health conditions, I've witnessed that many of them feel like they're at the mercy of external solutions.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel your protocol really offers a powerful sense of internal
Yes.
empowerment. And the one thing is to integrate the emotional, the spiritual. And I'd like to know, Ryan, in your experience, how does mindset or someone's belief in their ability to heal actually affect their outcomes when they're engaging with your protocol, when they're using
Oh,
uh, your products?
yeah. No, belief is everything.
Mm.
Belief is, in fact, we there's there was an incredible uh, copywriter in the late 70s, early 80s. His name was Eugene Schwartz.
Mhm.
And he talks about the stages of awareness. And he talks about how people come to a transaction in one of these 5 stages of awareness. They're either unaware, they're problem aware, solution aware, product aware, or aware aware. And so it's the idea of meeting people at where they're at on these stages. But we've tied another mental journey to the stages of awareness where they're hopeless, hopeful, hope ignited, right? And so hope is a huge part of your own personal journey. And I have seen so many people that put their hope in something and have been let down. I've seen them, and all they want to do is to have hope that they can overcome the challenges that they're faced with. And that mindset of hope and igniting hope and having hopeful uh, journey through your own personal challenges that you're faced with is a powerful tool. And it's also a powerful gift that somebody gives a company, because that transaction isn't just a financial transaction. It's a spiritual transaction. It's a commitment, physical transaction. You've spent money on our product that you hope is going to have an impact in your journey. And that mindset of hope is powerful. And so consider this: you give somebody, they give you that gift of hope, and then they don't have an experience. That's the worst thing that can happen. And so in looking at Stemregen and everything that we've done, the greatest gift we can give somebody is an experience on the product. Have an experience, because then you become hope ignited and that mindset shifts. And that's one of the reasons why that 60-day challenge is so important, is because it helps through the process of shifting that mindset from hopeless and challenged to hopeful and hope ignited. And that mindset is so powerful to your own healing journey and your own process. It's the same thing from a healthy individual. Think about the days that you wake. It was one of. It was today. I actually woke up today because I was traveling yesterday. I got home really late last night. I woke up today and I rolled up. I told my wife, I don't even want to get up. I don't even want to get up.
We all have those days.
You
I
know what
feel
I mean? And it's
I
and
totally.
but you embrace it. Fortunately, I have an amazing companion. We've been married for almost 30 years now, and we know how to motivate each other. We know how to support each other. And she didn't give me crap for it. She just rolled over and said, "Let's go." And I was like, "Okay." And I got up, went through my morning routine, had my workout this morning, and I felt so much better. But that
Mm.
mindset is, you have to, one, that's the reason why the 60-day challenge is so important, because we're building community around individuals that are focused on change.
Mhm.
Having that mindset, if you're in this journey by yourself, you're not alone. There's communities there. You do such a beautiful job at curating a community of individuals that are trying to better themselves. And there's people, find the community, find something that will give you that opportunity to have hope and have an experience on a modality, yoga, meditation, red light therapy,
Mhm.
whatever it is, so that you can be able to have a little bit of a shift in your mindset that progress can come. This journey you're on will be a good journey for you and your health and the challenges that you have. So yeah, mindset, it's a great question because I think mindset is everything.
It really is. And what you also talked about sharing the anecdote of this morning, it's so when you're in it, it's like, just as an example. But when you know you have the tools to actually
Yep.
affect a change of state,
Yeah.
simply when I have one of those mornings, I will, oh God, I will literally force myself to stand in the middle of my bedroom and do jumping jacks for 60 seconds. And within 60 seconds, I have changed
Yeah.
how I feel. There's also other things you can do. I mean, it could be breath work, could be anything, but
Yep.
once you are aware of the tools, and most of them are for free, you are the master of your day, of your life. And what I really like, Ryan, is that to circle back to what you've shared in response to my last question, I really like that you've built a company that combines deep science with a holistic and systems-based view of health. And that's not always easy to find in a field that tends to really reward specialization over
Yeah.
synthesis. And I'd like to know from you what it has been like to walk this line between mainstream science and also emerging wellness paradigms.
Well, I was introduced to this space several years ago when I was the founding CEO of a company called Cellcore Biosciences. I'm a computer programmer, technologist by trade. Everything I've ever done in my career has been in a browser. I remember coding in the mid 90s and building shopping carts and global infrastructures. I've done everything. And I was in a situation where I was like, I need a change. I need something different. My health wasn't where it was. I had amazing support and family, but personally, the trajectory that I was on wasn't where I wanted to be. And I remember um, a gentleman moved into my neighborhood. I knew his twin brother. I knew his sisters. So I knew his family. So I went over to say hi as a neighbor, sat down with him. We started talking. I said, Todd, how can I serve you? And he said, I need a CEO. And I was like, I was looking for something new, and this was right in front of me. And I was introduced to this entire world of naturopathic health and the gut brain connection and and I literally, it was an eye open. My parents were school teachers in the California school district. We had insurance. We went to the doctor for 6-month checkups, like constantly. I mean, we lived in modern medicine as our standard. And as I was working with Dr. Jay Davidson and Dr. Todd Watts, there was a lot that was opened up to me, opportunities of going to a new place in your health and becoming proactive in your health and taking charge of your health and your gut microbiomes and understanding the mitochondria functionality, and creating systems and protocols centered around that. So it's an interesting question because I always wanted, I've always been a very spiritual person. My faith is very, very dear to me. And so, but I wanted to build something that had both. I wanted to create an environment where you're 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 out for good. Your focus is first on the number of people that you touch, the lives that you touch, and the opportunities you have to make a change in somebody's life. And to be able to do that physically as well as spiritually in a way that is in balance and harmony with who we are, it's one of the greatest things possible. And we're still trying to figure it out. That we're still trying to figure out how to truly promote, because a lot of people are like, what is this 60-day challenge? So it's just an opportunity to be a gift to individuals that will take advantage of it. But it does create this beautiful synthesis between the emotional, spiritual storytelling of yourself and the physical healing, recovery side of things. And it is a beautiful balance. So I really appreciate you pointing that out, because not a lot of people get it and notice that as we go into it, but it is truly an opportunity for us to be able to affect the whole and not just the one.
Yes, and everything is connected. Science is also slowly catching up with that.
Yeah.
As I really believe the future of medicine is integrative, it's data driven, and human first. And your
Yes.
work, Ryan, points towards that kind of future. I'd like to know, lastly, in your view, what role will stem cell activation play in the next 5 to 10 years of medicine and also in longevity science?
Well, it's interesting that, again, you go back to Jurassic World, and the whole premise of that movie was to find a drug to cure heart disease.
Mm.
Um, our goal is to truly get that message that out. We are in the process right now of taking that heart study into a clinical trial, a full-fledged 200 patient clinical trial. We're working with a heart institute that will give us the opportunity to validate it with modern technology and not just the holistic side of things. We're trying to bridge that gap. I remember I sat down. I had a beautiful experience to sit down with Dr. Rajesh Katuka. He is the minister over the secretary of ministry over Ayush in India. So he's over all of India's Ayush, which is Ayurveda, yoga, homeopathic medicine. And I was incredibly impressed with his goal. And in his tenure, he was able to establish wellness centers along with allopathic medicine.
Mm.
So when somebody would come to the doctor with a challenge, they would first go into an Ayurveda medicine, and they would look at gut health, and they would look at your body's natural ability to repair, and they would look at diet, and they would look at exercise. And if there was something that couldn't be handled there, it would go to allopathic side of things. I think that there is a balance between the natural and the allopathic, the homeopathic and the allopathic. I think that, and I hope that in 10 years, we as a community will be able to find the balance between the two, and that the allopathic will actually accept natural remedies and be able to accept the how supplementation can play a role in people's health. Because right now, and we're starting to see that. We're starting to see doctors utilize Stemregen in surgery and as a way to recover. We're starting to see, because once they see it and they see the opportunity that the endogenous stem cell mobilization plays in your body's natural repair system, and they are going in to take care of the things that your body can't repair on its own. Because I believe that there is a place for allopathic medicine in acute care, in trauma care, in direct challenges. But I also think that there's a balance between the naturopathic and the allopathic. And I hope that in 10 years, where those two worlds are closer together and have the ability to share and not just be, well, that's hogwash. That's, and there's so many doctors that are seeing that. I'm working with MDs on a regular basis. I'm working with orthopedic surgeons, with all areas of wellness to be able to promote health and longevity and taking command of your health before it's too late. We shouldn't be reactive. Allopathic medicine is very reactive to the challenges they're faced with. It's acute care. And I think that has a place. But man, if we can really bolster this connection between naturopathic and allopathic, that's a beautiful environment.
Yes, and we're exactly on the same page here, Ryan. For people who would like to learn more about your work, more about Stemregen, where can they do so?
So stemregen.co. So if just Google Stemregen, you can, anything that you Google stem cell supplements, anything will come up. Follow Christian Drapeau on TikTok or Instagram. Anything you can do, reach out to us at our support. We'd love to answer any questions you have. But yeah, stemregen.co is our website, and we'd love to be able to see how we can help.
Excellent. And as a closing reflection, thank you, Ryan, for walking us through this frontier of health where science meets our innate sovereignty and nature meets cutting edge biology. For our listeners, if you have felt like your body was broken or out of options, I invite you to consider that it may not be broken at all. It may simply be waiting for the right signal, the right support, the right moment to repair. And what you heard today is not hype, it is data, it is direction, and most of all, it's a reminder that your body's not just surviving, it is designed to regenerate. You have power, you have agency, you are not separate from healing, you are the healing. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Superhumanize. Accelerated evolution.